Hello and welcome to your Top Wednesday webinar. My name is Jared Krebs and I am so excited for today's call. And before I bring on our special guest, I am going to explain 10 things to expect when building your USANA business. Number one, there will be ups and downs, just like anything. Number two, success or failure is up to you. If you succeed, it's because of you. If you fail, it's because of you, not because of the person who invited you to USANA. Number three, the goal is for you to become independent and be an independent leader and example for your team. Number four, make your plan on the weekends. Do it, review it, and make adjustments. Plan, do, review, and adjust. Number five, it's going to take time. It's going to take 1 year to become competent at the skills to do this. It's going to take 3 years to develop a significant part-time income. It's going to take 5 years to develop a significant full-time income and 7 years to become world-class. It can happen faster, but it's going to take time. Number six, it takes consistent work and hustle. You have got to be consistent at this week in and week out with your prospecting. Number seven, you're going to have to grow and get outside of your comfort zone. Number eight, mental toughness is necessary. Number nine, the grass is not greener in other companies. The grass is greener where you water it. And number 10, this is a long-term game. USANA is 27 years strong with over $2.5 billion paid to its associates. It's helped me and my wife have a full-time income for over a decade, as well as thousands of people around the world, and hundreds of thousands have made a part-time income with USANA. It works if you work. And last, most important tip, amateurs sell products, but professionals sell the vision. Make sure that you're sharing these webinars with your clients, with your associates. Let them see the vision of what USANA can do for them. And few have done it as well as Foundation Executive 9-star Diamond Jeremy Stansfield, who is a dear mentor of mine. I am so happy that you have taken the time to be here with us today, Jeremy. I know you have so many things going on. We're so grateful to hear your story. And we want to know what your life was like before USANA. What were some of the challenges you faced? What challenge did you overcome when you built your business? And what is your life like today thanks to USANA? Welcome, Jeremy.
Awesome. Thank you, Jared. And it's great to be part of the call here. I am sitting on my back deck here in Eden, Utah. This has been a dream location for me to be able to live and reside for now over 20 years, thanks to a very successful USANA business. I wasn't born into money and didn't have any, rich ancestors or anything like that. A lot of times people look at my life today and they're like, wait a minute, he must have just got lucky and, someone gave him all of that or something of that matter. I got to tell you, I grew up working really hard in our family business, installing carpet in school districts and in other commercial buildings throughout Utah. I began working at a very young age, and I'll tell you that it wasn't easy because not having really enough income to make our family work, I never received $1 from my parents or anything like that. So at a very young age, I was out working hard and working a lot of hours and learning that it's not easy out there, to make money. And you're trading hours for dollars, or in my case, it was yards for dollars. And every time that I got an injury doing it, or something came up in my life that was, took me off track, whether it had been a big school project or whatnot, and I couldn't get back to work for a little while, what happened was your income stops, right? Every single time. And because my income was always tied to a linear income, I knew that someday I wanted to have a residual or leveraged income. At that time, I wasn't really looking that much about the health benefits or the potential dream that I had of, being older, but still feeling like I'm 10 or 20, 30 years younger than where I am today. And I, at that time, was eating fast food 3 meals a day, didn't know much about supplementation, but I was on the search for a better life. I realized that if I didn't make a change, nobody else was going to make a change for me, that I had to open my mind. And if your mind's like a parachute, if it's not open, it's not working effectively. And especially out there in the world of business and learning how to be a successful entrepreneur versus the traditional way to go out there and trade hours for dollars. So I ended up being introduced to USANA by one of the top producers in the company. At first, I said no over and over and over. In fact, I learned a very valuable lesson about how to build this business early on, because if he would have given up on me, like even after the 22nd time of him calling and leaving me messages and being on my case to come and look at USANA, I would not be here today. And I would be thinking, like, I would probably still be installing carpet for a living. And when I look at, I love my dad and my family, of course, my siblings, and some of them are still involved in our carpet business. But I look at where they're at and, how hard they're still working out there in life. None of them have been able to retire or sit back or enjoy any kind of the real benefits from it yet. And I realized, man, I'd be in that same boat. If this person wouldn't have been so persistent and didn't, and gave up on me. And I'm so glad. In fact, it took over a month, but definitely over 30 calls and being persistent over and over and over and over for me to finally look at USANA for the first time. Once I finally looked at it, I was like, okay, wait a minute. I should have looked at this earlier. And I ran with it. I knew that this was the right thing and that I needed to focus on it. And it was something that I'd never done before. So I had to be extremely teachable. And this was the thing that my sponsor, my mentor, the person who was so successful, I mean, his checks were incredibly, they were sizable, incredibly sizable at that time. And I was blown away. He earned more money than anybody that I knew, anybody that I'd actually met and looked at checks at before. And I thought, man, I've got to pay attention to what this person is telling me to do. Even if it doesn't sound, like it's something I can do, or if it sounds like it just doesn't make sense, I'm still going to do it, because you've got to follow people that actually already have gone out there and done it. And in so many other industries and employment opportunities, there's a little bit of competition, because your upper management or executive management, they don't want you to take their positions. They don't want to teach you all the trade secrets, give you all their contacts. But of course, in our industry, we want that. We thrive on that. And the more that I listened to him and applied massive action, I got a lot of no's. I got even my father, who we had done business together, of course, in our carpet business for so many years, was so negative about this that literally tried to talk me out of doing the business. My best friend at that time was Brian Douglas, Diamond Director. Many of you know who he is. And back then, he wasn't a Diamond Director. He was just working really hard in the auto parts world. And he was my best friend, also telling me to never be involved and build a network marketing business. It'll never become successful. You'll lose everything. He'd had a bad experience before. And he just continued to be so negative. And we all have got those negative people around us. But, over time, Brian still ended up becoming on board and looking at this closely. Once he looked at it with an open mind, he couldn't set it down. And he ended up building all the way to a 6-figure income in our business model on a part-time basis. So, it took some time for him to do that. But let me just tell you a little bit about my dad as well. I was just looking at a message from my dad. And isn't this interesting? So this is on Saturday, 7:00 p.m. I don't know if you can see that. But what does it say? It says, "I need more products," meaning that my dad still loves and uses the USANA products, even for someone who was so negative about this business and so negative about this, and is still, of course, even though he's not building a business with it, he can't go a day without using USANA. And so this goes to show that there are so many people around you and that, potentially are still negative, but don't give up on them. You continue to be persistent until they've really looked at this closely with an open mind. And I think that that's one of the biggest keys to my success. One of the biggest reasons why I ran all the way from just getting started to Diamond Director in only 20 months. So broke a lot of the company records. Well, broke all the company records. Nobody had gone diamond that fast. And I've got to tell you that it's kind of interesting, but eventually I had reached the income level of my mentor and then even passed by his income as well. And for all of those people that out there that go, man, this is like a pyramid, and you can, the people at the top always make all the money, and the people that get in first always make all the money. I don't know how many times we have to show this to people. That's so not the case in our business model. As I surpassed the income of my mentor, who was the #1 income earner of the company at that time, along with Colette. And I now there's a top income earner, which many of you know, Bill and Jenny Huang, that are in my downline. And I had worked with bringing them on board in the company so many years after I'd come on board, and now they're the top earners. So, when you continue to get that negativity out there from people, just don't listen to it and try to do a good job at showing them and teaching them these stories of how it's not, not reality, and how our real world works in building USANA. So what are some of the other things that happened with my story? I'll tell you that by becoming a proud user of the products immediately, it changed my life. I don't even know where I'd be health-wise. I definitely wouldn't be looking the way that I am and feeling the way that I am. And I don't take any medications. I freaking love my lifestyle. I love my eating habits, fitness schedule. I love everything that USANA stands for from a health perspective. And I just never thought that that would be me when I first began. But now I look at this 23 years down the road and I go, I don't know what else I would have done out there in life and been so happy with and so fulfilling and have such an incredible value that I know that I've been able to not only give to myself, but to so many other people, hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands now, even around the world in my organization, thriving and enjoying the products and building a business. So I found that there was one other thing that also was a huge, this huge breakthrough for me. And that was, we have to get better at teaching this to people in order to be successful at it, right? So we have to work on ourselves to gain confidence and to be able to, whether it's doing a Zoom call like this, or just a one-on-one presentation or explanation over the phone, or meeting someone in person over lunch, it takes confidence. We have to build that confidence. And sometimes we may not think we're doing a good job. Let me just remind you that you know more about USANA than they do. All right. You know more about all the success stories. You know more about all that. All you have to do is focus in on visualizing a positive outcome prior to going and doing that meeting, that lunch meeting, that Zoom call, that conversation. Visualize the positivity of how that call is going to go, or how that presentation is going to go, and them actually making a decision to come on board with you and USANA at the end of it. Not every single time it'll work, but it'll improve your numbers like crazy in your closing rates on that. And that is how I eventually broke through the biggest fear that I've ever had in life, which is public speaking, and really getting out there and talking to people in a public environment like that. So, first it was just 10 people. I'd still be so scared and literally vomit because I was so nervous to go and present. But eventually it was 100 people, and then it was 1,000, and then eventually 10,000. And the last time that I spoke to a big audience was in Las Vegas at a sold-out venue. 23,000 people sold out for an Eric Worre event. And we had about 22,000 people streaming online. So about 45,000 people listening to my voice on stage, sharing my story of success. And let me tell you, right before I went on stage in that Las Vegas Convention Center, I bumped into Eric Worre, and he says, "What are you going to talk about? You got, 15, 20 minutes of stage time." Now, granted, Tony Robbins got 2 hours of stage time. So I'm, not quite there yet, but still 15, 20 minutes was great. But Eric says, "What are you going to be talking about?" And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you all the specifics, and I haven't even really planned it all out yet. I just know from the heart I'm going to teach people how to have breakthrough and how to see how they can become successful based upon some of my experiences. Just something simple like that. And he's like, "Whoa, but you haven't really planned it out yet." And I'm like, "Nope." And I wasn't nervous, and I wasn't shaking, and I wasn't stuttering. And it was one of the best experiences of my life, because it showed how far I have come in where I began and where I am today now, 2 decades later, building this business. I've got to tell you that, building aggressively in this, and even in the cracks of your life with all the other stuff that's going on, I just got to tell you that it's worth it. And there's so many times you're going to sit there and go, "Man, I just don't know if it's worth it. Like, my check isn't where I wanted to be for the week. I've worked so hard. Nobody closed into my business." You've really got to understand that there are really not a lot of other options out there to create a residual dual leveraged income that allow you to live the lifestyle of your dreams at some point whenever you would decide to slow down, or whether you want to keep pushing and building and buying bigger things. I love where I live up here in Eden. I live close to a golf course here and part of a resort community. But I was just looking at Jenny and Bill Huang's post. They're 17-star diamond directors. Now, I'm just 9-star. But their home that they have in Auckland, New Zealand, I've stayed at their primary, or their original residence, which is incredible and worth millions of dollars. But this next residence that they have, which they still have the first one too, but the one that they just had corporate visit them and recognize them for 17-star diamond, is worth about $8 million in the New Zealand dollar, over $5 million in US. And that just goes to show, and this is just one of like many of their properties that they're talking about and showing in their social world. Bill and Jenny have continued to build their business to extreme levels. I've chose to step back, and about the last 10 years, I am so proud to say that I've been able to work on just some other really fun, exciting experiences and other little things in my world with family and relationships and travel and seeing the world and being able to do things that most people will never have a chance to do while they're still feel young enough and healthy enough to go out and experience. So, wow, living in a boating community where I can go out on the lake all the time and do all kinds of water sports, literally spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on travel alone each year, renting and mansions out on oceanfront properties, that are in Mexico or other places around the world, and chartering 80-foot yachts to go out with my love and enjoy the day and in the evening, or just doing all kinds of fun things. But on top of that, also giving back. Not only giving back in our community, but finding ways to help out those that are in need. And also, it's been kind of an exciting year. I mean, just in the end of 2018, we bought 4 new 2019 vehicles. So I finally picked up another new one, bought another new vehicle for each of my daughters, Natasha and Michaela, for those of you that may know, and then also one for Demery. So, exciting times. USANA is an incredible income generating machine and lifestyle generating machine. I hope you understand the value of that. And then the other thing I'll end with here before we open up for some Q&A is the timing of building a business now versus building a business when I began. I've got to tell you that you're not going to believe this, because a lot of them are like, no, the timing must have been different. I'm telling you that it's easier with the technology and things that we have today to build. The product line is so solid and secure. Can you imagine back in the day, like when I began, we had VHS tapes and cassette tapes. Like the biggest thing that we had going for us was some Paul Tracy, a little bit of Dennis Waitley, Paul Zane Pilsner on an audio tape, We didn't have the influence of Dr. Oz. Are you kidding me? Spartan community as well now, being connected to USANA. The influence of all the Olympic athletes, the events that we have going on all over the world, there's so much credibility that USANA cannot be argued anymore whether it will really make it or not. That's not a question. It's already made it and will continue to make it. And will continue to drive and build incredible success stories. But it's up to us in the field to do that. But the tools and the resources are there. The credibility is there. And this incredible train, this locomotive, is still building momentum. And I hope that you're serious about being part of the engines that create the future momentum and build a business that will last and be strong for generations throughout your family. So, all right, Jared, it sounds like you may have a couple of questions for me.
Yes, thank you so much, Jared. I love what you just shared. It's so inspiring. I love your view from your home in Eden. And thank you for sharing about some of the perseverance that your sponsor had to go through to get to you and to get the message through to you, because I'm glad he didn't quit, because we would have not been able to start USANA either. Because for those of you who don't know, we are also part of Jeremy's organization. So yeah, it's just so cool. You think about like the impact that not giving up can have on not just one person's life, but thousands and tens of thousands of people over time. So thank you for that. All right, so we have some questions. Our first question is from Sue Ann Knobloch in San Antonio. She said, what did you use or think of to manifest your success?
So the biggest thing was trying to find other people that I could emulate. So there were success stories in USANA, but I also looked at success stories just in our industry in general in direct selling. And, you know, back then it was harder to do. Today with social media, you can find, you know, 3 or 4 key people that you like to follow as great people for entrepreneurial vision and success. It can be in our industry, outside of our industry, but, you know, of course, with our Facebook and also Instagram, we can find those that are important to us, and even click story notifications on and post notifications on, and pay attention to those that, you know, are more important to help keep you motivated. But back then, like I say, in my beginning stages, I just more or less tried to keep the blinders on and really just had like a tight circle of about 4 or 5 people that I looked up to and paid attention to and what they were doing. And then I just listened to a lot of audio cassettes from, you know, whether it be a Think and Grow Rich audio series or How to Win Friends and Influence People with Dale Carnegie, or some of those other, you know, old school type of audio systems, just to keep my mind going in the right direction.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. Personal growth and development remains exactly the same as it was 20 years ago. And it's cool to see that you're, I guess, doing a lot of the things that we're doing now today with our personal growth and development.
Yeah.
All right. Next question is from Phyllis Walker in Salt Lake City. She asks, do you still have presentations at your home?
You know, it's hard to get people up here to Eden because it is more of a resort community. It's for a lot of people that live in Salt Lake City or even Ogden, it feels like it's on the other side of the planet to come up here to Eden. So it's not easy to get people here. So I don't have regular presentations here, but when I'm working with somebody that's key that I've personally sponsored and they are local, whether in Salt Lake or Ogden, I'll often have them come up and spend time with them here. There have been times when I've had regular presentations and still made sure that our local people were getting people up here. But as my business has become solidified and matured in many of my markets and regions here domestically and internationally, like I mentioned, I've been able to sit back and enjoy my time freedom finally so much more. So sometimes I don't like booking, you know, regular stuff here at my home, because then all of a sudden now I got to be here for it.
I love it. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And you know, with Zoom meetings now and just with technology, I mean, in my experience, it's almost like more productive to be getting it out there through setting up Zoom meetings and Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy.
I think that, you know, I mean, I'm not as engaged as all of you guys are right now on, you know, your daily activities with USANA to grow huge business. So, you know, even though many of you are using Zoom as the technology, I would still also encourage, no matter what, you still never want to get away from meeting people in person. I mean, there's still a certain amount of growth you go through, you know, and skills that you develop meeting people in person, whether it be over lunch or for an evening presentation. I'd never cut that completely, you know, out of your USANA business routine.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. All right, so we have another question from Jared Harris. He asks, what do you do to make sure your enthusiasm isn't too high or too low?
It's so interesting because when I travel and do, you know, business, even in like Australia, New Zealand, one of the first countries I went to build in, and immediately they're just like, oh my gosh, this Yankee from the US, and like his enthusiasm is just so high. Like, what are we going to do with him? It's interesting. I really never throttled back my enthusiasm. I still just let it fly, and it's just who I am. And I'd go up to even to Vancouver, Canada, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, your enthusiasm's so high." Or I'd go into the Philippines, and I just thought, I'm not going to change me. So if I'm enthusiastic about it and I'm excited, then people will have to adapt to that. Obviously, if I'm meeting with someone and they have like a real green analytical personality, and I can discover that, or of course, I'm going to try to adjust and be connected more to what they're, listening and connected more to their personality. But if I'm in a public environment and I'm on stage or, doing a Zoom call, I'm not going to be afraid to show my natural feeling when I grow this business, which is just energy. I love it.
Oh, great advice. Thank you, Jared. Great question, Jared Harris. All right, next question is from Randy Krebs. He asks, what keeps you motivated to continue to build your USANA business?
So today, I have, considerable leaders that are Diamond Director and above in all of my key reentries and legs that I have strategically built throughout all these years. Now, there are one or two specific areas in my business that I still would like to grow stronger. And so in those particular areas that are not maximizing yet every week, those are where I keep my eye on for opportunities. And so I look for people that are growing in those legs that may introduce me to somebody that now I can connect with someone a little more closely and see some strong talent in that leg and be able to work and mentor with someone closely. I also will, personally sponsor those that come my way and that I'm looking for out there on a regular basis. Not like I'm out working my business even an hour, 2 hours a day, but as I'm out and about, it's still natural for me to talk to people about USANA, or for people to ask me what it is you do for a living. And it's just, it's natural to eventually direct them to information and follow up. So continuing to sponsor in my project leg is what will continue to grow my business still. And I think that it's healthy to still have your eye on the ball and in growing a business. I have it's a lot of times in my USANA business completely taken my foot off the gas and not had anything to do with it at all. And I think that was not always the best thing. I think I always will still have a certain part of my life which is still growing a USANA business no matter what, just for health reasons, great mentality, staying connected for my associates and my leaders. And so yeah, that would be the main reason.
Love it.
Hey,
I have a question.
Okay, yeah.
Tell me about the times where you were in sponsor mode. Like, I know that we've talked before about this, but you had a couple years where you were very focused on personally sponsoring. You had certain goals. What were those sponsorship goals, and how long did you do that?
Yes. So when I'm in full on building mode and growth mode, my goal is to sponsor one person a week. So one person a week, no matter what. And if I don't make that one person this week, then the following week I'm trying to make that up and make two people for the week. So, realistically, I'm trying to average one person a week, but literally working so hard up until Friday night, right when midnight Utah time, when that bell strikes, right up to the minute, to work hard and try to fulfill that goal every single week. And if I was doing that, that's when I would be creating the most new leaders and most momentum. And I never got away from sponsoring. I know that a lot of people look at me as, oh my gosh, you're a sponsor monster, and that's how, you've built this. You just keep sponsoring your way to the top. Well, I do believe in the mentorship and the training and duplication and hands-on, but only really intensely for people for about that do reach out to me after the 30-day mark for more help, more events, more engagement, more closes. And that's ultimately what I was looking for. And those are the ones that would rise and eventually grow to become, gold and emerald and ruby and diamond and star diamond. So, yeah.
That's the best advice. That totally has changed my 2019 when we had this conversation last year. And I've made it a goal to personally sponsor 1 a week this year. I've personally sponsored 19 so far. I think we're 27
awesome.
in, but I mean, it's still, I've just seen my business go. And
heck yeah.
I've never sponsored this much in my whole career. I've always been kind of the slow turtle that sponsors maybe one a month instead of 1 a week. And making that shift, I know that's what's going to get me to diamond and beyond. And also I'm seeing my team duplicate and grow just from them watching me sponsor more. So thank you for that advice. Thank you for those conversations back a year ago. And this has been a very enlightening meeting. I just want to ask you, Jeremy, what's the last piece of advice, or if you could give one major key tip, what would it be for everyone who watches this video?
The last tip I'd give is just that when you enroll a new person, you have an opportunity to really engage and put a lot of pressure, so to speak, on them initially. And they'll never have that another time to feel that pressure from you really at that type of entrance. I mean, it won't be the same a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later. So just remember, when you sponsor someone new, to paint the picture and engage with them and help them to make USANA a big priority in their life. And if you'll do that, you don't have to do that forever, but if you'll be a pain in their ass for the first, month, so to speak, and you just don't leave them alone and you are just on them like crazy, then you will help to set them up for stronger success. My sponsor was a pain in my ass for the first 30 days. I mean, so for not only for the until I finally came on board, but once I came on board, man, he was just like, I had to sponsor 4 people my first week in the business. And if I didn't sponsor 4 people I was going to be a loser. That's what he made me feel like. I was a loser if I didn't get 4 people on board. And he was just aggressive, man. And I mean, it was just like, he would call me about every other hour, and it'd only be for about 3 or 4 minutes. But man, he would just be so motivational and so wanting to know what was going on and who I'd talk to now and who we were going to go meet with and what's on, it was just intense. And so I look back and I go, man, that's probably what helped me, really create this type of mentality of this intensity that got me from ground zero to diamond director in only 20 months. And not everybody's going to have that intensity from their sponsor. I was very lucky to have it. And not everyone that I've sponsored in USANA have had that intensity from me. But when I have done that, I have noticed it's made a huge impact in terms of bringing up those numbers. And so that was the final tip. And that's, if you really want to go out there and make huge momentum, then maybe put some more intensity in your people you're sponsoring.
Love it. Love it. Wow. Great advice. That's something I'm going to try. Shout out to you, new associates I bring on. But I mean, these are things that you just can't get anywhere else. This type of advice you just can't get anywhere else than from a mentor. And Jeremy, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your advice and your stories and inspiration for us. And we're going to end the call like we do every time. Everyone unmute the lines, or Dad, please unmute the lines. And let's say thank you, Jeremy. Have an awesome day.
Thank you, Jeremy. Have an awesome day.
Thank you, Jeremy. Have an awesome day. Thank you, Jeremy. Have an awesome day.
I'm going to call you.